I know other members are coming. The change of venue has gotten just a few members behind, but we do want to, and just to continue to thank you for what you do. This is a blast from the past coming in this room, I have to say. I'm just like, oh my goodness, I don't know if it's a trauma or what. But, and the Spirit kind of moved me this morning to put on my Hurricane Katrina, our little symbol from Katrina in terms of Mignon, what she created, because we'll be breaking or cutting the ribbon, I would say, on the first phase of the Claiborne Corridor, which was a project from the community, grew from Katrina, and like, wow, a sign that, we're doing what we say. But Gassan, and maybe not in board members who have been and have joined since, when I came on as mayor and even interim, there was an interim director of this utility. And then becoming mayor, there was an interim of this utility. First, it was Marcia Edwards, and then we had Jade Brown Russell, and then I found and hunted down Admiral Callahan, and Admiral Callahan stood in the trenches while we went through a selection process, and that we did it, we didn't waver, we wanted the best, and that's how we found Gassan. And so many people don't even recognize what we've been through as a utility. And when you just think about, now I'll be mayor 6 years next month. Mm-hmm. And in not even 6 years' time, we've broken on and we've taken on projects that we knew we needed to do coming on in, but really should have been done decades ago. But we have gotten it done. So I want you all to not be discouraged. You hear me say all the time, we're in the middle. And in the middle of the river is the time you really have to double, triple down to stay focused. Even in the midst of unforeseen circumstances, even negative reporting, unfair assessments, inaccuracy. But at the same time, we continue to do the work. And it is the men and women of this utility that show up every day in spite of all those challenges to get us to where we are. So I just want to say thank you to our dedicated employees, both within this utility and across the city of New Orleans, because we can't do any of this work without our folks. And I know that, welcome Poco, I'm giving my opening remarks, but last week's flooding event, it's a testament, and it should be an example of how these rainfalls are coming faster. We're getting more rain in shorter periods of time, which has been really consistent as we talk about what we can drain as a utility based on the water that we get in an hour. And so from every month, I would say this year, we've just seen that impact. And I think this is the third time to levelized flooding, even in my own garage, I almost finished cleaning it out. I removed, this time around, I had an old float of my daughter, 2 years old, from Ursuline. At 2 years old, you do the parades. And so a neighbor built her this float. Well, this time, this float held water in the garage. And I said, oh my goodness. Well, I told my friend, I said, well, Maggie, you built this float very well because no water seeped out. But at the end of the day, I have it now out of the garage, and I sure don't want to give it away, so I'm going to try to give it to another parent. That's what it was supposed to be for about 15 years ago. So things have changed, and we're having to change with it, even in spite of ourselves. We cannot pump our way out of this, and it's a disservice when we speak to our community as if we can do that. This is a risk reduction, even our hazard mitigation, our system that the federal government built for us. But even as we're spending federal dollar, we understand that we cannot pump our way out, but we can ensure that we're making strong investments for future generations of this city that drives the state of Louisiana. I did want to go through line by line your appendix that we put together, kind of refuting some of the misstated facts. But I won't do that. It's in public record. I know we've sent it already. So with that, we will ask for roll call. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
All right. Thank you.
So I'm sorry. I went downtown.
No.
No, I went to a meeting then, to the meeting.
Mayor Tantrell.
Present.
Councilmember King, Director Barnes, Director Duplessis, Director Kennedy,
Here.
Director Guzman, Director Pacho, Director Sloss,
Here, apologetically late.
I came at 9:06.
Director Howard, Director Sholas,
Here.
Director Antrim.
Here.
Mayor, we do have a quorum.
Very good. So we have a quorum. I've given my opening remarks, and I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Sholas. It's been seconded by Director Howard. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, the minutes have been fully adopted. Ms. Yolanda.
Now we are ready for Director Howard's committee report from the Operations Committee. Director
The
Howard.
Operations Committee met on Tuesday, April 9th, in the Executive Boardroom. Meeting began at 9:01. Present were the Directors Duplessis, Pacho, Kennedy, and myself. Not present was Director Sloss, and as a non-member present was Mr. Sloss, and then absent was Dr. Sholas. We had a really interesting meeting. Rebecca Johnsey, the principal engineer, Renee Gonzalez, chief of customer service, and Susanna Kirby, controller, gave a comprehensive update on the smart meter program, its strike team, and the billing. The presenters addressed the committee's concerns in relationship to training, higher initial bills, theft of meters, real-time data, and other issues. And then we were also supposed to have a strategic plan update, but the presentation from the on the smart meter program consumed most of the time, so we deferred that item. There was no public comment, and the meeting adjourned at 10:20.
Thank you very much. I would ask for a motion to approve the Operations Committee report as presented by Director Howard.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Sloss, seconded by Director Sholas. Any questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
The comment, I thought the presentation was extremely impressive and reassuring, and I just felt so much better after hearing the work that's going on behind the scenes.
No, absolutely, and thank you for doubling down on that. You've been consistent, but the presentation was really stellar, and it was awesome. And articulating the existing conditions, what we've done, and where we're going. So it's been moved, it's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, we have adopted the Operations Committee report. Ms. Yolanda.
And now we have the Plumbing Committee report. Director Sholas will give on behalf of Director Duplessis.
The Plumbing Committee met on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, in the Executive Boardroom. The meeting convened at approximately 10:25 a.m. Present, Directors Duplessis, Pacho, Sloss, Barnes. Also, Stephen Nelson, Renee Gonzalez, Michael Evans, and Ann Wilson. Members absent are Honorable Freddie King. There was one action item. Director Duplessis asked for a motion to defer R069224 to the next Plumbing Committee meeting. Director Pacho moved to accept the motion, and Barnes seconded, and the motion carried. There were presentation items, no public comment, and the meeting was adjourned at 10:57 a.m.
Thank you very much. I will ask for a motion to accept the report read by Director Sholas for the Plumbing Committee.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Anthrop and seconded by Director Kennedy. Any questions, any comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? So we have fully, officially adopted the Plumbing Committee's report, and I believe we have Finance and Administration now. Director Sloss.
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Administration Committee met Wednesday, April 10th, 2024, in the Executive Boardroom at approximately 9 a.m. Present were myself, Directors Howard, Kennedy, Guzman. Absent was Director Pacho. We had our usual cash flow overview. Gray Lewis, CFO, presented preliminary February 24th results. The water and sewer cash levels are 210 and 220 days respectively, which is greatly exceeds the minimum and targeted levels. Collections in March were 22.5 million, which shows some improvement relative to 2023. Past due receivables as of February 29th, over 60 days, were 56.9 million. That's 25,235 customer accounts. We have instituted, which we've talked about in past meetings, a new promise pay plan, which utilizes technology to reach out to customers, allow them to more conveniently handle paying their bills over a period of time. We've collected 1.2 million on that since go-live date, February 8th, and have 6,000 customers who are using that. We had some discussion about, are there any legal, is there a legal remedy for property owners to perhaps be responsible for part of the water bills? Right now, it's the person who rents the case of apartments, and that's something that needs to be determined. We had 5 contract awards or renewals. We had 2 change orders, 2 contract amendments, 2 final acceptances. That was, we had the normal information items that we always receive. There was no public comment. There been no further business. 9:52 approximately, we adjourned.
Thank you, a lot of work there. Thank you, Poco. So we have been given the report of the Finance and Administrative Committee. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been moved by Director Scholas. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Director Howard. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, we have fully adopted the Finance and Administration Committee's report. We'll now go to Ms. Yolanda, our Executive Director's report.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Director Corbin.
Good morning, Mayor, and thanks again for your leadership and for the encouraging remarks earlier. It means a lot to us, and it's a very special day today that you're here at the plant. We're excited to show you the project, the Power Complex project, after the meeting. But it feels so good being surrounded by all the employees, the current leaders, future leaders of this utility, that we lean on every day, and they make us look good, and we stand on their shoulders, and they stand on their staff's shoulders. So it just feels good from this angle looking over. And
It
just
does.
having
Yeah, no, it
everybody around.
does, and I like being in spaces that we're impacting, and I understand, being on Joseph Street, but I always said the best and highest use, even though that land isn't as a government building, but this is.
Yeah, it's actually very exciting times we're in. I look around and just listed, Power Complex, the Smart Meter Program, Water Quality Master Plan. We're approaching full compliance with the consent decree for our sewer system, lead service line replacement. We're launching that. We'll talk more about that. The people plan, the transmission main program that we're, going full speed ahead, and improving collection and revenue collection. Just a lot happening in this. I'm sure there are a lot more. Just an exciting part to be part of this legacy time and just making a difference for our community. So with that, I would start with our standard slide, pumping and power report, and it's somewhat an unusual, but it's also temporary that we have an 89 out of the 99 pumps. It's a lower number than usual. We have 3 pumps that are expected to come back to service by within a week, hopefully by the end of this week, and then we're back to 92. And our goal to going into the hurricane season with 93 pumps, and it's a good number to have, again, with giving us redundancy and good capacity. In terms of power, again, we're hovering over the 40 megawatt. It's a good number to have, and then with the T4 slated to come back into operations shortly, we'll have the redundancy that we all need and we count on going into the season. So again, things are looking better, and every day is a preparation day for us, and obviously T4 is going to be a big difference for us once it comes back. The dashboard that we've launched a couple months ago rather, continues to be a very popular tool very welcome tool for our public. We hear a lot of feedback. We're going to continue to improve it and tweak it to make it more effective. Just a side note, I just heard on the news last night that Jefferson Parish is launching their own dashboard. hopefully, mimicking what we've done or maybe even better, and we'll look at what they've done, and if there's something better, we can do the same. So good ideas, obviously, like I always say, rising tide lift all boats. So if we can learn from each other, that would be fantastic. So I think it's definitely worth everybody's time to just briefly talk about the April 10th rain event. Nobody can argue that it was a very major event for the city and for the region. The experience that we had was similar to the experiences that our neighboring parishes had. Similar rainfalls and similar experience in terms of the amount of rainfall and amount of flooding that all the parishes experienced. One of the issue that we faced, which was unexpected, obviously, and we kind of that one more thing that we didn't need is vandalism. We suspect it's either vandalism or attempt to steal cable, that may mean little to the person who's stealing a piece of cable for a low amount of reward or money, while in fact the consequence is so much catastrophic and dire for us. So I asked Renee to reach out to both the city council and the district attorney to see what, if anything, we can do to highlight the dangers of those acts and the consequences, and how we can elevate the attention and maybe discourage folks from doing that. I mean, again, they're looking for a low award or reward, whatever the term is, but then they're really hurting the city in a very, very significant way. Outside that, I think we fared well, again, much like other parishes, and then we focused on pumping the city dry and as fast as we could, and we were able to do so in a very effective way. So kudos to all the folks who work hard behind the scenes to accomplish that. The power complex, I'll tease you a little bit with a couple of pictures, but obviously, hopefully, all of you will be able to join us today, and maybe we can take a group picture in front of some of these exciting pieces of critical equipment that we're installing. So the utility track, which is one of the largest components of the project, is almost complete. Probably by far was one of the most difficult to do. The frequency changes in turbine 7 are either here or about to come here. We're building the foundations. You'll see all of that out there. The picture on the left is one of the transformers being installed. And again, a lot of beautiful pictures, but hopefully it's gonna look even more exciting in person. I don't wanna steal Caitlin's thunder by saying too much, but again, very, very exciting times.
Is
Yes,
there a
sir.
place for T8 contemplated in this plan?
I believe so, yes.
It is.
It's what's called a master plan, where you envision what the next 20 years look like. So, yeah, absolutely. I think also we need to publicly discuss the contract referred to at 1420, which is the second to last major contract that included a lot of major pieces, the installation of the frequency changers and the turbines, actually the connection of all of those pieces, tying it to the substation, what we call the commissioning, the testing and making sure it all works before we can say it's all operational and ready to serve the city. There were some, obviously, issues with the bid, as you all know. It came in significantly higher than the estimate due to a variety of reasons. And the best thing to focus on is how you, mayor, and the city council rallied behind that issue, and then within weeks, actually 2 weeks, a solution was found, funding was identified, and allowed us to keep the project going on track. The key point was allowing us to have money in hand to encumber the funds so we can award the contract and then not lose any time. And I cannot thank you and City Council for their efforts and allowing that gap to be identified and put in place.
Thank you. And it
Obviously,
wasn't identifying new money, it's just how you
Yep.
strategically utilize cash flow, and that's what
absolutely,
the
absolutely.
team did it.
And it's also obviously wanted to thank the IAB for allowing us to shift some other projects to the right to free up some money to temporarily make it available again for the encumbrance piece, and with the commitment that that money will be backfilled later when the city is able to bond and have more available funds. So good partnership, good government, supporting a very critical project for the city. Oops, missed one, sorry. Wanted to give you a quick update on behalf of our meter reading team and customer service. We continue to find ways to improve how we deliver our services, obviously with the meter reading. One way that Renee and his team found a way to document each and every read that we make out in the field using newer handhelds that are actually have some interface with the system. So when you key a meter number, it tells you, or the address, it does actually match those two. So at least it brings some more accuracy to the process. It allows you to take a picture of that read just for documentation purposes. And I made a quick stop yesterday by one of our meters. I got in his way a little bit and just started asking questions. But it was good to see all the steps that need to be taken to capture an accurate read. One of the meters was below the water table. So the minute you pump that water to read it, the water starts rising immediately. So it takes skill. You have to be efficient at what you do, and took the number down, recorded it, and moved on to the next one. We plan to hopefully visit more meter readers and again encourage them and support them, because we know it's one of the toughest jobs that we do in this utility. We're hoping part of this effort is to offer the city council this as an alternative to the door hangers. We submitted a letter to them officially requesting consideration to change the ordinance and the laws, so we're not out of compliance with that. And what I'm hearing so far is positive feedback, so hopefully we'll cement that, and then we'll codify the changes in the future. In terms of smart metering, again, this project continues to move forward. 9,600 meters, like Director Howard said. The presentation to Operations Committee was as thorough as can be. We sought feedback at the time. We made some tweaks. We met with City Council staff yesterday. We're going to appear at Public Works next week for one more, opportunity to seek their feedback, their insight, what they, in terms of before we actually launch the first round of actual bills that are based on smart meters. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes to make sure the numbers are accurate. A lot of history has been vetted, and we want to start, on a good footing, and we are confident we will. So again, one more chance to get public feedback from our city council folks before we launch the week after that. So it's a huge milestone for us in terms of the project. And again, kudos to all the team members who've been working so hard. And you just see the pride and the dedication on them. They're so excited about this project, and they've put a lot of time and effort on it. So. Promise pay continue to be again, not to sound funny, promising. It truly is a good tool that we brought in, I guess, early February, and it had brought us $1.3 million with a commitment for another 15. And, hopefully at one point it may plateau, but the commitment is what's key, and the steadiness of payment, not in terms of revenue collection, it's also, it means so much for us to have our customers come back in a good standing and then clear off their outstanding debts. So it's a win-win situation, and we're hoping that can continue to deliver. An exciting thing to share with you today, this is the first board really, and Mayor, under your leadership, where we've actually introduced money in the budget to start paying our judgment. We had a list that is a mile long, and people really legitimately in their minds said, oh, we'll never get a penny. The SWBNO board has no intention to pay us. Well, we heard and listened, and we made it a priority. We introduced some money in 22, significant amount in 23, and again in 24, and we've made a very sizable number of payments to significant number of litigants or claimants. So we're tracking. One thing that's exciting, hopefully by the end of this year, knock on wood, if we made all these connections and the logistics and all that, we were gonna get to a point where we're gonna start looking at the SELA litigants and start negotiating and obviously making payments. So that's very exciting. Again, in many people's mind, this was a far in the future, and we're making it happen. Obviously for a good reason, because we want to make our the claimants whole in our mind. So, and lastly, just want to talk a little bit about it's a busy legislative year on many fronts, obviously, including us. Just briefly on each one, with Representative Matt Willard's bill specific to limiting us to only send the bill if it's based on an actual versus an estimate. That hasn't really, we're meeting with Representative Willard to talk about possibly, we're not necessarily against it, but maybe we're arguing or negotiating for an effective date. We're hoping that maybe at the conclusion of the full execution of the smart meter, then it becomes less of an issue, and maybe that becomes the law. So we're in negotiation. Collectively, I can say that all of them are being very good listeners. They're coming to us saying, how can we help? We don't want to do anything that would hurt you or will be punitive. So they're coming from a good place, and we believe that we are gonna influence all of them in a good way to make it better for the customer at the end of the day, or to serve the purpose that they want to serve. Representative Hilferty's bill about fixed billing is moving. We're going. We've been talking about it in terms of all the details, the logistics, the feasibility. Again, that's moving in a good direction. Again, our influence hopefully will result in something meaningful for the customers, where we can offer a fixed bill for the time where smart meter is installed, and then would start fresh. There's a lot of nuances that we're working through, but again, we're supportive. We think it's a good option to offer to our customers. The other bill that she's offering regarding residency or the domicile rule, just basically introducing a 90-day period where if we post a position and there's no viable candidates or no candidates, that gives us the flexibility to take the domicile rule out of the requirements and just open it up to everybody. There's again some minor challenges associated with that. We're working through that in terms of some of the ongoing or rolling posts that never have a period of 1 or 90 day. We're working through how we can manage those. The consolidation bill by Senator Harris is moving forward. We're supportive. And I think we are all on the same page that consolidation come with a funding or need for funding to support it and bring a level of service that the city deserves. So that piece is moving as well. It will not be defined as part of the state legislation, but that will happen at the city council level in terms of what that price associated with us taking over that responsibility will mean. And I'm hopeful that we're gonna come to a good common ground. And the last one, Senator Duplessis, relative to helping us or facilitate the lead service line replacement that's been introduced. I think it will be very supported. It's a statewide legislation, and it's going to allow or put the flexibility in the city's hands across this to allow us to go on private property for the purpose of replacing lead line, which again, we've explained this before. The significance of that is that if we do not replace the private portion of the lead line, the problem is not solved because lead continues to exist. So we're very, very thankful for that effort. So they're listening to us, and hopefully we'll land in a good place once it's all said and done. So, and that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I may have missed it, but in 525, we can't bill unless it's an actual. So suppose month one is a read, we bill it. Month two is an estimate, we don't bill it. Month three is an actual. So now they're gonna get a double bill.
That's the workaround to make sure we get the revenue protected. Yes.
Point is, it seems to me that it's gonna be an imposition on the ratepayer if we have a double up bill because we have an estimate in between.
Yeah, I don't think that's their intention. Intention is that we would forfeit that bill if it's estimated.
How do you,
I'm gonna know what it is.
Oh.
how would you know what it is?
True,
That's the
true.
I didn't realize, I didn't wanna debate it here, but I mean,
Yeah.
it seems to me like there's some issues with that.
Yeah, the idea there is that by the effective date that's suggested is January 1st of 2025. And by then, we would have had about 70,000 of this half. So if we put our entire workforce on reading the other remaining half, then we should be 100% accurate and all the meters would be read. That's in theory, that's what they're.
Always disconnected in theory over here. Yeah, okay.
So I'm trying to argue for either
ridiculous,
June or end of the year,
Yeah.
and or maybe make it go away entirely. So that conversation is happening.
Back to when they have things like this, this isn't fair to other people.
No.
I mean, if some people just don't, for some reason, don't get a meter read, and then their bill's forgiven, what about the people that do get their meter read?
Yeah. Which most do.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
You
Yeah,
think then people can just park their car over their meter and
Yeah,
avoid having it read?
more bills.
I did have a quick question about 593. Is there any provision in there about existing employees that may choose to move out of the parish? Because it seems like we're sort of treating new employees differently than existing employees if we instituted this system.
Well, again, this is predicated on the fact that we don't have viable or any candidates
Right.
who live in the city. So that's why we're expanding the pool.
It's still like you can sort of take it down the lane a few years and see that you start to have a workforce where maybe a more significant number don't live in the parish because they get in through this loophole, and then there's a bunch of other people who are sort of stuck in place. They're not allowed to leave because they've signed an affidavit saying that they live here and they're bound to this requirement. So just a thought that I had, that it sort of treats new employees versus existing employees differently, which strikes me as unfair.
Has that. I mean, it definitely has that could be that focus and
Yeah.
shifting out of balance. but also understanding where you will have the flexibility to approve. And that will be based on the services or the capacity that we need to fill. But I would say not be loose with it, but having the flexibility, but we would be the ones authorizing that. It's a very difficult position to be in when we know we don't have the capacity, but I don't believe that it should be open-ended. You know, there should be an end to once we do build capacity. I mean, we don't want to, I agree, you know, with the director opening it up, but we need some balance at this time or flexibility.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But,
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you, Gassan and you know, the representative there, just at any rate, Ms. Yolanda.
Yes, and I
Let me
just
sip
wanted to
my
note for the
coffee,
record,
be quiet.
that Director Alejandra Guzman is there. And now we will have our presentation from Environmental Affairs, Nye Henriksen, regarding the plumbing code amendment.
Very good.
Nye?
All right.
Steal that one.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Nine Hendrickson, and I am the Infrastructure Project Manager for the Sewage and Waterborne's Backflow section. I'm here to present an outline for the proposed changes to the Sewage and Waterborne's Plumbing Code, but I wanted to begin by giving a very, very brief overview of the backflow prevention and cross-connection control program. So backflow is when contaminated water flows backward into clean water drinking lines, usually due to a change in water pressure. The reversal of water flow obviously therefore causes a public health hazard. A cross-connection hazard is when there is a connection that can potentially facilitate contamination or pollution of our drinking water. So one example of that would be lawn irrigation systems with in-ground sprinkler heads. These sprinkler heads are completely open to the atmosphere, and during a drop in pressure, they could be a pathway for bacteria and other undesirable materials to be introduced into the drinking water. Another example would be a fire line that feeds a fire suppression system within a building. Has anyone ever watched a flushing of a fire hydrant? It's black water coming out of there. And that same nasty brown or black water can sit in those fire suppression system, and if there's a drop in pressure, it can all get pulled back into our drinking water. So we want to avoid that. So if you think of cross-connection control or cross-connection hazard as a symptom, backflow prevention would be the solution or the cure to that. The most common method for backflow prevention is simply to have an appropriately sized air gap between the feeding pipe and the receiving pipe. For example, all the faucets in your home operate on this method, as well as most modern bathtubs. Any of your dishwashers or washing machines have built-in air gaps. So most of us already have that in our homes. If a hazard cannot be protected using an air gap, it must be protected with a backflow preventer. These are mechanical assemblies designed to sense drops in pressure, and when they sense that drop, they will close off that water line with check valves and prevent any of that water from flowing backwards into the water main. As the water purveyor, and let me take a second just to clarify for this presentation, the water purveyor, the administrative authority, and the Sewage and Water Board are all synonymous with one another. It's one thing. So as the water purveyor, in order to protect the public health and ensure that all of our customers have access to clean water, we are obligated to administer a cross-connection control program and ensure compliance among our customers. The very existence of this program, along with a few non-negotiable code requirements, is also mandated by the Louisiana Department of Health. With this in mind, I will now speak about the proposed changes to the SWBNO plumbing code. I'll give a little bit of a synopsis of where we're at so far. Plumbing committee members originally received revision packets on April 5th, which contained a complete outline for the proposed changes to Section 14 of the Sewage and Water Board's plumbing code pertaining to cross-connection control. The plumbing committee met on April 9th, where these revisions were presented in an open forum, but it was decided that voting would not take place until the next plumbing committee meeting, which was scheduled for April 16th. A revised rubric was given to committee members on Friday, April 12th, but due to a lack of quorum, the committee meeting scheduled for April 16 unfortunately did not meet. So that's why I'm here today, presenting these major changes so that we can enforce the proposed codes and administer the Sewage and Water Board's cross-connection control program to meet these regulations set forth by the Louisiana Department of Health. So without further ado, I'll go into our proposed changes. Oh, yeah, that happened out of nowhere. Look at that. All right, definitions of terms. There are currently 139 definitions within this code, starting with administrative authority and ending with yoke vent. We are looking to adopt 51 definitions to section 14. Some of these ones are new, and some of these are slight revisions of existing definitions. Health and safety. Wherever compliance with all provisions of this code fails to eliminate or alleviate health or safety hazards, the owner or his agent shall be ordered by the administrator of plumbing to install such alterations as may be necessary to abate such conditions. The existing code does not give authority to terminate water service if a high hazard or imminent danger to the public health is present as it pertains to cross-connection. So having the authority is one of the specific requirements by the LDH. They require for us to be able to terminate water if we find a cross-connection hazard on somebody's premises. So the proposed change would be wherever compliance with all the provisions of this code fails to eliminate or alleviate health or safety hazards, the owner or his agent shall be ordered by the administrator of plumbing or the authorized representative to install such additional plumbing equipment or make such alterations as may be necessary to abate such condition. Failure to comply may result in an immediate water service interruption. Property owner's responsibility. What we have in the existing code is the following. No property owner shall cause or permit any installation, connection, addition, or alterations to be made to any water, drain, soil, waste pipe, or any pipe connected thereto, unless a permit therefore shall have been first issued by the Plumbing Department of the Sewage and Water Board. Nor shall any property owner suffer or permit any violation of these rules to continue after having been notified thereof in writing by the Sewage and Water Board. Owner responsibilities as they pertain to backflow prevention are currently not listed in the Sewage and Water Board's plumbing code, although it is clearly outlined in the state sanitary code. Clarity on these local laws in terms of what the owner and customers are responsible for will be vital for our enforcement actions, and I think it will be very beneficial to the customer as well to know what their responsibilities are up front. So our proposed change would be section 14, the property owner shall, at the property owner's own expense, be responsible for installation, operation, repair, testing, and maintenance of all the backflow prevention assemblies required by the administrative authority. The property owner shall advise the water purveyor in advance of when a device is to be tested to allow the water purveyor the opportunity to witness the test. Refer to section 2.24, property owner's responsibility for additional information. There it is. Moving on to administrative authority rights. Currently, there is no existing code regarding the administrative authority's rights in terms of cross-connection. And this would give the Sewage and Water Board the authority to, for example, enforce our code using a fine schedule instead of water termination to achieve compliance. We do have an enforcement response plan with an X number of steps in it that I'll go over a little bit later. This first year, we have chosen to educate our customer instead of imposing any fines or shutting anybody's water off. Instead, we call them, we talk to them, we explain to them what their responsibilities are and why this is important. But this, having a way to enforce this in the future is going to be important for compliance. So the proposed change is the following. Notwithstanding anything herein to the contrary, the administrative authority / water purveyor are authorized to take additional actions which may not be specifically covered herein that are deemed necessary to protect the public water system from potential or actual cross connections in accordance with the requirements. Moving on to non-compliance by registered technicians or general testers. The existing code states the following. Suspension or revocation states, such suspension or revocation shall be effective only after a decision by the board. The master plumber shall be sent a copy of the written charges on which the plumbing conference committee's recommendation is based and shall have the right to exercise all legal rights, presenting evidence and witnesses in his behalf at a hearing. All plumbers or general testers that wish to perform work in Orleans Parish needs to register with the Sewage and Water Board's plumbing department and with the Sewage and Water Board's backflow section. When they register with the backflow section, they will get access to our software And that's where they apply for permits and submit their test reports. This is a software where also all the notices for our customers gets generated, so it's all sitting in one place. Successful registration with this software results in the plumber or general tester being listed on the Sewage and Water Board's plumbers list. This is the list that is public and given out to our customers, and this is a list of contractors that they can choose to do their backflow work with. Any infraction by a plumber or general tester will result in removal of them from this list, and they will get their access revoked from the software. So they will no longer be able to apply for permits or submit test reports, and they will not be listed on our approved plumbers list anymore. So the proposed change is the local registration of a technician or general tester may be revoked or suspended for noncompliance. Any of the following conditions constitute a noncompliance, and let me just say that there are other ones than these ones listed here too. 1, improper testing or repair of backflow prevention assemblies or methods. 2, improper reporting of the results of testing or of repairs made to backflow prevention assemblies or methods. 3, failure to meet registration requirements. And 4, failure to submit installation and/or test records after 10 days of completion. Refer to section 2.3.8, suspension or revocation for additional information. Moving on into technician registration. Currently, there is no existing code for the requirements for technician registration. All plumbers or general testers will need to submit their copies of their credentials to the plumbing department, as well as upload it to our software program. The program keeps track of due dates for insurance and state plumbing licenses and such, and will notify the plumber when he or she is close to their due dates or expiration dates. Without proper credentials, the plumber cannot apply for permits and cannot submit test reports. This is one of the requirements for LDH. They require for us to keep a list of approved plumbers and make sure that they are in good status with the plumbing board and with us. State plumbing board, I'll say. So the proposed change is as follows. All backflow prevention assembly technicians licensed by the state of Louisiana must register with the local administrative authority before performing work to the potable water distribution system. Any licensed backflow prevention assembly technician shall include his or her state registration number, as well as proof of their water supply protection specialist, the WSBS, endorsement on all correspondence and forms required by or associated with this ordinance. Moving to standard guide for containment and isolation practices. Currently, there is no existing code for containment or isolation practices for backflow prevention in our code. The tables that we have put in are replicas of the containment and isolation practices listed in the state sanitary code, with the exception of restaurants and commercial kitchens, which we have added. Due to the many high hazards that exist inside most restaurants and commercial kitchen, we would like to mandate that all such properties be contained with a reduced pressure principle assembly. That is to protect them from potential hazards such as commercial dishwashers, mop sinks, fountain drinks, and general food handling. So the proposed change is to annex standard guide for containment and isolation practice tables. Specifically, restaurant/commercial kitchens will be required to have the appropriately sized reduced pressure principle backflow prevention assembly. And lastly, moving into enforcement. Currently, there is no code for enforcement of the backflow program. As previously mentioned, throughout this code, Sewage and Water Board would like to retain the right to terminate water service if we deem it an absolute necessity to protect our water supply, along with the authority to issue a fine schedule as a response to noncompliance. Depending on the class of the violation, administrative action will occur in the following sequence. We will start with the documented phone calls or informal discussions. We will issue warning notice of violation, and then move on to an actual notice of violation, notice of penalty, show cause hearing, and finally, as a last resort, interruption of water service if the hazard is high enough. Customer will have the right to appeal these enforcement actions and will be given the opportunity to present a defense to the outlined charges. The proposed change is as follows. 1, failure to have backflow assemblies tested upon installation and by the annual test due date and a report thereof to be received by the administrative authority may result in a noncompliance fee being charged on the customer's water bill. This charge may occur monthly until a passing test report has been received by the administrative authority. 2, if after 3 months of being charged a monthly non-compliance fee, the customer has not submitting a test report, or if the customer refuses to comply with the state regulations and the rules of this code, the administrative authority may exercise the right to terminate water service to the property. Water service may not be reestablished until a state registered backflow technician notifies the infrastructure project manager, environmental affairs backflow section of the scheduled test date. The ultimate goal is to protect our drinking water, and these ordinances will facilitate us accomplishing that goal. Thank you for your time today.
Why does it say may instead of shall?
May, because it's a choice. If it's a low hazard and there are extenuating circumstances, my first instinct would not be to shut your water off if there's construction in the area, if they're just not able to test it the way it is.
Mitigating circumstance.
Excuse me?
Some kind of mitigating circumstance.
Exactly.
And I think focusing on that customer side of it as well. Ms. Howard?
I've gotten two of them.
I got your permit requests. So the notices are sent out based on the addresses that are on people's water bills. So if you haven't gotten one, it should have gone to the address where your water bill is being sent to as well. That is a problem that we've experienced, and we're trying to find other ways to contact people. The software also has a customer portal where you can sign up with your email address or put your phone number in, so you're getting these notifications via email and phone as well, because we have some of these phone numbers that we were trying to get through from enforcement that were landlines in 1973 when the account was open. So that is why we have focused a lot on just educating our customers, because there's a lot of people that are just not aware. They're not getting these notices, unfortunately.
Right, well, first of all, thank you, Nine, for your presentation and for the work that you do on behalf of the city of New Orleans every day, you and your team. What I will say is also thank you to this utility if on this deeper in on this issue, and doing so is how we learned and we found that the utility had a cross connection. The water that we were using to cool our turbines was somehow finding its way into the drinking water, and we decided to go even deeper and further into this issue than LDH even expected. But when we found it out, that's when we got dinged by LDH, meaning we went deeper to look into ourselves to make the connection. But now, I would say, as a result of that work, here we are. So we're moving the ball and we're moving it in the right direction. But the first step was making sure that we, this utility, was doing the right thing, and we're doing this work. And now the ordinances, the rules, the guidelines, the restrictions, the laws associated are now going to move forward. So thank you. Any other comments relative to this? I know, Tyler, you were front and center on this, man, on the other side, on the employee side. But, we're doing the work. Yes, sir.
I had Nine, thank you. That was really comprehensive and efficient. I appreciate it. Just one quick question. So how are we notified if there's a backflow issue? Is that something, how do we determine that?
So we are tasked with serving every single water connection in the city every 5 years. So part of the responsibilities of my team is to go and do in-person surveys, and we'll go to the hotels and we'll go, in people's, not in people's basement, but in the basements of the hotels. And when we find a hazard, we log it in this system. And so the system will produce that notice of hazard and say, as a customer, let's just say we came to your house, we found an irrigation system, you'll get a notice in the mail saying, hey, we found an irrigation system hazard on your premises. We're gonna need you to install the following assembly. Here's a list of approved plumbers to help you facilitate that, and if you have any questions, contact us.
Thank you.
And that's also the importance of the technology, that we're integrating, because setting up systems to where we're being proactive, not after the fact, like that's what we're doing, which is a game changer for this utility and for the city. And we'll get some pushback, some of the customers, right? I mean, this is, and from our industries, we know that, heavy in regards to hospitality and the like in restaurants. And so we'll just move through it, but it will start with the education component.
Yep.
Thank you. Ms. Yolanda.
Yes, now we'll need a motion to approve Resolution 69, 2024, the amendment of section 14 of the Sewage and Water Board Plumbing Code relative to cross-connection control.
Thank you very much. So as presented by Ms. Nine, and of course, brought to the table by not Madam City Attorney,
Special counsel.
Special Counsel, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Director Sloss, seconded by Director Anthrop. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? All right, so we've officially adopted. Thank you so much again, you and your team.
Thank you. And now we have 11 corresponding resolutions that we'll need a motion to approve. And those corresponding resolutions are Resolution 50, 2024, 57, 2024, 59, 2024, 67, 2024, 68, 2024, 56, 2024, 63, 2024, 60, 2024, 62, 2024, 58, 2024, and 61, 2024.
Okay, so we can do all of them in
In
global.
global, yeah.
Okay, very good, 'cause those are the ones all, okay. So we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Director Scholas,
Second.
Director Guzman, thank you. It's been seconded. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? All right, we have approved in globalization. Thank you, Ms. Yolanda.
We have information items, and we have no public comment. And Mayor, we're ready. Oh, sure.
I mean, Mayor, given the circumstance today that we have, it's a bittersweet,
Oh, yeah, don't steal my thunder on this one.
up, man. What's the,
We're in this together. This is a good thing. And Ron, I'm telling you. So, Miss Yolanda, you want to, so Ron, and Gassan, I'm cutting him short. I don't know why, but we know that you're retiring. And it's weighing, as Gassan said, definitely bittersweet. One of the reassurances in taking on this role and president of this utility, one that made it a little softer is knowing that you were in the trenches here and that you would be someone working right beside me and this utility, this board. And you have never wavered. You have been honest. You have just been someone who has the experience, and you've brought so many others along because of that. And on behalf of the city of New Orleans, I just want to say thank you. I know there's more to come. Your retirement party and all the good pomp and circumstances you do deserve. But I will turn it over to Gassan and the team to show you more love that you deserve for your role in leadership as our general superintendent. But you know what, 35, how many years?
30.2 years.
30.2 years.
Spoken like an engineer.
2-4.
That's great.
Thank you so much. And Gassan, you go ahead. I interrupted and,
And thank you for the kind words, Madam Mayor.
no, man, you're,
perfectly fine, Mayor, well said, and that's very tough to add or to follow, but a couple of things about Ron, from my perspective, when I was in need of a general superintendent, he didn't even hesitate for
Yeah.
a second, he said, you need me to do this, I'll do it for you, and I mean, and it's been just a solid performance ever, from day one. And the reason I said bittersweet, obviously, we're very, very happy that, he is going to retire and enjoy retirement, but we're losing a very good, solid engineer for the utility, and it's gonna leave a void, institutional knowledge. And there's just one thing that Ron has, as a leader, he loved his people and he protected his people like to no end. And it has to be said in front of many here and hopefully many more who can hear it, just has their back. And I learned that from him, watching him train, educate, mentor, and that's the legacy he's gonna leave behind, very good, solid people with dedication and honesty, like you said, and just, doing good work for the city. So I cannot be more thankful for the opportunity to have worked with Ron, and I wish him the best.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and Ron, you need to make sure someone's gonna do the trivia for me, when we do our ribbon cuttings on drainage that we've improved. I say, Ron, how long has this one been, man? And he goes, 1918. And then it's been 1952. And then he'll give me the president. Old Truman was, I'm like, man. But Ron, somebody has to be the one, man. Because you can't make it up. You just can't. Yes.
Oh, that was a good one.
It's true. It's true.
All right, thank you.
Well, you gotta say something.
Well, look, I would say, thanks for the kind words, Madam Mayor, as well as the Executive Director. It has been bittersweet, 30.24 years. I would say, Madam Mayor, in your opening remarks, it's really not about me, it's about the employees. The employees are really the key. And, see, like I said, F and that, we're gonna get emotional, but
All right.
they are key. There's a good team, without a doubt. I only have 30.24 years. You have employees here that are 43, 50 years. Now, I wouldn't plan on working that long. But the fact is, what that shows is the dedication that they have for this age, and that's a good thing. As I've said, when I told the executive director a couple of years ago, I was not going to put in for the general superintendent because I was going to start my succession plan. That's exactly what I did. And the whole intent is to train and mentor folks that come behind so this agency can have uninterrupted service. So again, it is bittersweet, 30.24 years here. I'll relax short term for a little while. But long term, I will get back into the mix of things. And the thing is to let everyone know is to go to the next level. And I feel the next level is at the federal level. Still advocate for infrastructure in urban areas as well as small areas. Rural areas, but really areas where they're low income. And, as an example, on the federal level, if you hadn't read about a week or so ago, the Biden administration, they say we're giving a grant to the Taiwan superconductor manufacturing company, $6 to $8 billion to build a manufacturing plant in Arizona, which is a good thing because the chips come here. So the fact of the matter is that if one can say, hey, on the federal level, that you can take that same concept for urban areas, for cities with very low interest loans, that helps the cities out improve and upgrade their infrastructure. And then that's what, if you want a viable infrastructure, it has to pay for it. So again, it's not all the federal government. It does take homeowners and I'll call stockholders, our ratepayers to participate in there. But that's really the key, improving your infrastructure, put more money into the infrastructure and let it last 100 years. But again, thanks all employees. I will rest next couple of months and then do my research to see what's at the next level to actually benefit this city, the city of New Orleans, and any other city that would benefit from improving the infrastructure. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ron. All right, Miss Yolanda.
Yes, we are ready for adjournment, but as Ron always says, this is about continuity of operations.
Yes, it is, and I just appreciate you staying in the trenches as long as you have, especially while we look for a general superintendent, onboarded as a general superintendent, and we found that in Steve, and thank you. Thank you for your leadership.
Absolutely.
And just I wanted to take a moment. We saw that email acknowledging we have a deputy superintendent, and she's a woman. Come on now, come on now, come on now. Women in STEM, women, Shirley, can you stand up? Can we just recognize her? I have nieces, I have loved ones, I have a mom, I have grandmother, I have friends, I have all these people that know that women are not just accessories and adornments, but beautiful, smart, talented entities that have something to contribute. And so that made me very happy. And I just wanted to recognize that before we adjourned.
Absolutely, no, and I appreciate you doing that. And one thing you will find with this utility and with us personally, you're not just getting the accolades just because you've now reached this position, meaning a real demonstration and an example of women in leadership, but you will get the ongoing support because that's what I've found is lacking once you get there. We get all the prompts to get there, and then when you get there, it's like you don't even deserve you to be there, but you do. and we see you on the front end. And I'm speaking from experience from where I sit. But I will do everything possible to make sure that you don't experience that from this utility. We appreciate you, we value you, and we will continue to do that while we do the work. Because we do the work, that's all, that's it. So thank you. Mhm. All right, so with that, we can adjourn. We need a motion to adjourn. All right. Director Howard, seconded by Sloss, meeting adjourned.